Scriabin's Fifth Sonata is his most recognized piano work and one of his most significant works overall for a host of reasons. In this sonata analysis video, we'll cover the background information about Sonata 5 before discussing its narrative, motifs, harmony, and structure. After that, go listen to the piece by watching my video of the score with highlighted themes. Also, check the description to join my Discord server to talk about Scriabin and other musical topics. The sonata was written in 1907 after having written the poem of Ecstasy. He wrote the majority of the piece in about 6 days. Here is a quote of what Scriabin said in a letter about the work. "It is a big poem for piano, and I deem it the best composition I have ever written. I do not know by what miracle I accomplished it." The piece is in fact miraculous, one for the technical virtuosity needed to play the work, two for the genius motivic development compositionally speaking, and perhaps most interestingly, for pushing the boundaries of tonality sitting right on the edge between tonal and atonal. The poem Scriabin wrote to accompany the piece tells us about the narrative that the piece conveys. "I call you to life, O mysterious forces, drowned in the obscure depths of the creative spirit, timid shadows of life, to you I bring audacity." This is a classic Scriabin narrative about overcoming our timid, languid mindset by invoking mysterious forces to fully embrace life. Let's see how this narrative is expressed in our list of themes. First, we have our impetuous flight motif, which actually tells the entire story in a brief flutter. It begins with mysterious trills that are suppressed quietly, that eventually blossom to the highest height. Then we have the primary motif accompanied by markings like languid and desire. This theme along with theme 2 are used to represent the timid shadows of life mentioned in the poem. Theme 1, in contrast, contains multiple themes that are life-affirming. The first motif is marked joy. The next motif is marked imperious, as imperious will is a common idea in Scriabin's work and philosophy. There is another motif marked imperious trumpet, which I believe also represents imperious will, but should sound like trumpets. We also see a motif marked mysterious featuring neighboring half-steps, which appears in other sonatas as well. Finally, we have a fantastic theme that uses the courageous two-note figure discussed in my video on Scriabin's sonata form, and is presented in the last section of the structure. The harmony in this piece is perhaps the most interesting aspect. Most of the piece uses subsets of the major scale, however there are no instances of traditional triads. Many sections feature 6 notes of the major scale freely voiced in thirds, fourths, and fifths. What makes this piece a perfect link between his middle era and late era is the use of sets outside the major scale. The whole tone scale is used for some of the primary motif, and this is the first piece where Scriabin introduces his famous mystic chord during theme 2. The piece overall is still tonal because it relies mostly on sets that are subsets of the major scale, and it roughly centers around F-sharp major, yet the sections with whole tone chords and mystic chords give us a glimpse of his atonal music yet to come. The structure is in sonata form, and interestingly, all 3 large sections of the ABA structure follow a similar internal structure. The progression starts with the flight motif and primary motif, then we have theme 1, then theme 2, then a coda featuring the fantastic motif. The only exception is that in the final large section, the recap begins with theme 1 and saves the primary motif and flight motif for the very end. What's your favorite part of Scriabin's Fifth Sonata? Let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, and support me on Patreon.